The Cleveland Browns released Dalvin Tomlinson today, start of the new league year, big defensive tackle. And he takes a screenshot of the tweet from the Browns and he sends me this text. Wasn't this the dude that was in the Niners backfield every single down in the game 2 years ago in Cleveland? And I said, yes, that's who the 49ers should want.
Beef. Yes, that's right. Dalvin Tomlinson signs a 2-year, $29 million deal after being cut from the Cleveland Browns at the start of the new league year. His contract comes in at about $14.5 million APY with about $16 million guaranteed, so it's basically like a 1-year deal. A slight uptick from his contract over in Cleveland where he was on $14.25 APY. Now, this was a player I think most Cardinal fans were looking at when the Browns announced that they were going to release him at the start of the new league year to make room for that massive Myles Garrett contract extension. So the Cardinals were lucky enough that a big-time nose tackle, a big two-gap run-stuffing nose tackle who's got a bit of juice in him as well as a pass rusher was made available due to, the extreme overpay. They've literally reset the market. You saw the Chase contract that came out as well. They've reset the market in what I would call a bad way, like $40 million for a non-quarterback. It's unreal. But anyway, getting sidetracked, Dalvin Tomlinson signs here with the Cardinals. He'll be here for the next 2 years. Like I said, it's basically a 1-year deal with the guarantees, but do expect him to be here for the full 2 years. He's been around the block, initially drafted by the Giants in round 2 from Alabama, then he signed with the Minnesota Vikings, and then he signed a 4-year deal with the Cleveland Browns, and like I said, they had to make way for the new Myles Garrett money, so unfortunately Tomlinson was a sort of cap casualty in a way where the Cardinals beat out 2 teams, was confirmed by John Gambadoro, the insider for like all Arizona sports. I'm sure most of you, or all of you watching right now know who John Gambadoro is. So he reported that 2 other teams were interested in signing Dalvin Tomlinson, ultimately ends up signing with the Cardinals on a 2-year deal. We know, looking back at the season, especially against the Carolina Panthers, they just had their way with us. Chuba Hubbard ran all over us. Getting a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson who can play the nose tackle, he can play in a 4-3 front, he can two-gap, he can clog the run. He's a great run defender and has been his entire career. And he also brings a little bit of juice as a pass rusher as well. He had 36 total pressures last year, which would have been, drumroll please, number 1 on the Cardinals team. And he had 4 sacks last year. You can see dating back to 2019, he's basically had 3 or 4 sacks each year. You're not expecting this guy, however, to come in and just get you sacks. He's there as a big beefy interior player who's going to help us stop the run. He's going to add a bit of juice, like I said, as a pass rusher. Honestly, this was a no-brainer signing when he was released. Like, we currently don't have a nose tackle on the team. Well, at least we didn't have a nose tackle until he was signed. We had Roy Lopez sign a deal with the Lions, and we had Chris Tonga sign a deal with the New England Patriots. So if you're basically looking at our depth chart, Dalvin Tomlinson is currently the only nose tackle on the roster. All the other guys are sort of not known to play the nose, so he'll, at least for now, be the only nose tackle on the roster. But again, he's played in a 4-3 front as well, so he is versatile in playing different positions along the defensive line. I will just point out as well, there was no players on the Cardinals roster that played, I think it was 40 or more snaps on the interior of the defensive line last year. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure from double checking that could be the case, but I definitely know there was no interior defender that played 50 or more snaps on the Arizona Cardinals interior line last year. Dalvin Tomlinson had a stretch of 5 or so games where he played 50 or more snaps for the Cleveland Browns. So it was four games in a row where he was able to total 50 or more snaps on the team. Now, the beauty of coming to Arizona, he's not going to be asked to play 50 snaps per game. We've got him, we've got Darius Robinson, we've got LJ Collier, who recently resigned, we've got Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols. Whatever you think of those guys, well, they're going to be back another year. So we do have bodies there on the interior, so I don't think Dalvin Tomlinson is going to be asked to play 50 snaps per game. And I've sort of just cut up his grades as well from specific weeks where he wasn't asked to play an overly large amount of snaps, and you can see that his sort of efficiency in that time in terms of a run defender and also as a pass rusher was able to be maximized sort of in a more effective way for the Cleveland Browns. Like I said, I think that's going to be a more common trend here in Arizona. I think they're going to rotate guys on the line, so you're going to see Dalvin Tomlinson be more fresh when he's out there on the field. Like I said, I highly doubt they're going to make him play 50 snaps a game, so you can probably see that number realistically cut to about 30, 35 snaps, where he's going to be a lot more effective, a lot more fresh, and quite frankly, with the other additions we made, and I think we're going to make a lot more additions in the draft, you're going to see a fresh Dalvin Tomlinson out there, and I think a guy that's going to make a real impact not only in the run game but also as a pass rusher. Speaking of pass rush, we also have a little statistic that was put out on X by someone called the Film Room, or Cover One Film Room. He basically put out a tweet which was relating to the pressure percentages among defensive tackles who weighed at least 320 pounds, and this was based off True Media. Guess who was number one on the list? That's right, Dalvin Tomlinson at an 11.9% pressure rate, which, like I said, ranked number one for players that weighed at least 320 pounds. So you can see he can definitely cause havoc. He can cause pressure. He can come in. He's going to be automatically our best interior defender. That's not even a question. And he's going to be that true sort of nose tackle that we've been longing for quite some time now. You know, Roy Lopez and Tonga, they were fine. They were just average sort of journeyman guys who sort of got a chance with Arizona because they weren't, like, Tonga was not re-signed by the Vikings. He comes over. Roy Lopez, I can't remember if he was on the Houston Texans practice squad or if he was cut. I think he might have been on the practice squad. We bring him over. We make him a starter, a role player for this team. He goes and gets paid. I think having an actual proven player on the interior like Dalvin Tomlinson is going to do wonders for this defense. And just going to quickly shout out Marcus Whitman, aka That Franchise Guy on YouTube and X. He loves the signings. I know this guy's been sort of an optimistic sort of content creator in terms of the Cardinals. He's always been a Kyler Murray guy, so if you're a Kyler Murray guy too, you probably have watched Marcus's content. But you know, he had to say between the Sweat and Tomlinson additions, getting Ojulari, Robinson, and some combination of Jones and Nichols back healthy, and a full year of Baron Browning, their D-line, being the Cardinals D-line, is an easy early candidate for the most improved unit of 2025. Well, guess what, guys? We're not done. The draft's around the corner, so that D-line could actually get even better. So very, very interesting times ahead for the Cardinals. And he also just mentioned these names might not blow you away. I think he meant away, they wrote way. But these names might not blow you away, but I encourage you to go back and look at who Gannon was working with up front last season. And that is a big thing to note, because if you do look at the Cardinals interior last year, we signed, like I said, like we all know, we signed Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols to raise the floor of that interior group. They both go down injured, not really showing anything of note during their time as starters. It was quite underwhelming, quite disappointing, if we're being honest. They were given, Jones 10 mil APY and I think Nichols 7 mil APY. So you're expecting these guys to come in, raise the floor, and quite frankly, I think Dante Stills was better than both of them, to be honest. So hopefully they can bounce back healthy, getting a bit more understanding of the system. So, like I said, you look at the other names here, like Angelo Blackson, 23 snaps, whatever. Ben Stilley, Tonga's gone. Naquan Jones, sort of a journeyman himself, he's gone. He was fine, I guess, for the Cardinals as well. It's not like I'm bashing Naquan Jones, but majority of these guys, let's just face it, they're nobodies. They're not going to really be big-time contributors to other teams. Most people wouldn't even be able to recognize most of these names that we had trotting out on the interior last year. So getting a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson in, not only is a well-known player, well-known name, but he backs it up with the film. He's a great player, great addition, and very excited about this addition. Like I said, we've needed a nose tackle for so long. We finally have a legit, solid nose tackle. Now, he might not be at the peak of his career. I'm not saying he is. He might be on a slight decline, but like I said, I think with Gannon, he likes to rotate his players on the line, so I think you're going to see a decreased amount of snaps compared to last year in Cleveland. But I think ultimately that's not only going to just help the Cardinals out, it's going to help Dalvin Tomlinson out stay fresher, stay healthier, and provide a lot more of an impact when he's on the field. Just finally, I'm going to touch on what this opens up for the draft, because this was sort of the last major signing we made and it's probably going to be the last signing we make up until a draft. You might see some minor moves, maybe like, it's been hinted we might sign a cornerback. I had all this Asante Samuel Jr. stuff lined up to sort of chop up and put in a video, but that's been put on hold, obviously, probably a medical thing with his shoulder. But what this opens up for the Cardinals in terms of the draft is they don't really have any major holes on that D-line anymore. They've sort of signed players to address positions of need, and now they're not pigeonholing themselves into picking a specific player or position in the draft. They're now in a position where, honestly, they could go best player available. They could take a sort of defensive tackle or another nose tackle. We only have one on the roster, like I said, a bit later in the draft. I'm looking at guys like Alfred Collins, Jamari Caldwell, CJ West is a guy I really like, Tyleik Williams maybe on day 2. They're not pigeonholed into going D-line now. They can go BPA. Again, that wouldn't stop me from going D-line, but Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, it definitely does increase the floor. You've got guys like the tweet said from TFG. We've got Darius Robinson, a full season, hopefully a healthy preseason. Same goes with BJ Ojolari. Same goes with the 2 guys we signed last year in Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols. If you made it this far, thank you again for watching. Exciting times to come. I'm going to chop up a Jacoby Brissett video, so that's coming probably either this week or next week, most likely next week. Just talking over the new backup quarterback we've got, and then it's all systems go until the draft. Very excited for this draft class. Boards are going to be so different between different teams. I think it's not going to be a stock standard draft like we usually see. I'm so excited for it. But until then, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.
Feel like I'm back in college with Mac, like my senior year, and he can help me transition in with the defense, just moving out here and stuff like that. And I know he's super excited to get some extra O linemen off of him so he can make some more plays.